Welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at Lord of the Rings memes and just sort of reacting to them and talking about them and explaining them if they're if they're a little bit complicated. So this first one, you see it on your screen?
Yep.
Okay. So this first one, we've got 100 plus pages into Fellowship of the Ring, and the adventure is finally starting. And then we have Tom Bombadil, played by Kronk, smashing into his way into the story and just completely obliterating the current story to, become the main center of attention. Tom Bombadil is a polarizing figure, to say the least, I think. There are some that are upset that he is not included in the original trilogy.
Yep.
And there are others that think it was a good move to not include him in the original trilogy. I'm on that side. I think he may have detracted from the overall story and made people have a lot of questions that you couldn't answer in the entirety of the trilogy. In fact, you don't even get the answers in the entirety of the books of what's going on with Tom Bombadil.
Yeah. Of course we know people who, they despise the trilogy just because they excluded Tom Bombadil. So
yeah,
it's
and so,
but the target audience for the movies was for people who hadn't even read the books.
That's
A
right.
broad global audience, and you have this guy just coming in singing a song about himself. Yeah, I don't know.
No, yeah,
The story's fine without it.
well, and that's the thing is like, are we actually missing anything major that is revealed or that happens to the characters? And
No.
I guess some people might argue the Barrow White scene in the books. That's where they initially get their swords, which, you know what, heck it, there are spoilers here, but it, those swords do come into play both in the books and the movies, but
Mm-hmm.
the impact of the swords in the movies is easily explained because they get them in Rivendell. Like, they don't need to get them from the Barrow Whites. You can get them from the elves directly, and you're good to go. Or in
Yeah.
the case of the other hobbits. So Frodo gets his obviously in Rivendell, from his uncle. The other hobbits get theirs from Aragorn, and you can even just say, hey, Aragorn could have got these from the Barrow Whites or from elves somewhere. So you don't need the Barrow White scene by itself, and then you definitely don't need Old Man Willow scene. So for those that don't know, the
Mm-hmm.
hobbits get stuck in a tree that's sort of like an ent, but not quite. Um, and Tom Bombadil sings a song to free them, but he's sort of untouchable and just magical, and so he steals the show, and that's sort of what this meme is sort of pointing out. How he just comes in and just becomes the main focus for that part of the books. All right, so we're gonna go down to the next meme here. So we've got Frodo is so useless, he just whines and can't even throw the ring into Mount Doom. And then you've got on the other side people saying, or Frodo is saying, I am literally carrying and resisting a sentient object so evil it corrupts one's very soul, enough that demigods are afraid to even touch it. And he takes it all the way up to the point. And yes, spoilers again if you haven't seen the original trilogy. What are you waiting for? But yes, at the very end, Frodo is about to, and he can't do it, and it is it's a very powerful scene, and the fun thing is we see in the intro the same thing happening to Isildur. You get to that moment and you just can't do it, and there is some debate about whether or not Sam could do it, because a lot of people love Sam. That's sort of what this meme is sort of born out of, that I think, where
I don't think anyone can do it. That's my
that's
my
sort
contention
of, I
with it.
think, the idea that that when Gandalf says that Gollum still has a part to play.
Like, could have Elrond done it?
Yeah, exactly.
If Isildur had given it to Elrond to throw in there.
Yeah. Now there's always the joke that Elrond should just push him in anyway and just say, "Oh, he fell." Whoops. Whoops! I don't know what happened. Or Sam should do that to Frodo. But people just see that as if like everyone's robotic, and in that moment, Sam has been with Frodo this entire time, and they get to the point of basically this is done. We throw this thing in and we win, but the thing has corrupted Frodo in that last ditch effort to save itself. And Sam is just heartbroken. It's a heartbreaking scene, and Sam is just staring at his friend, who is no longer his friend. He is now fully engulfed by that ring. And so a lot of people have been hating on Frodo. There's a lot of talk about how Sam's the true hero and Frodo's just a useless character. But I do think people forget. I do love Sam. Sam is one of my favorite characters, but Frodo does need credit here. He does carry the ring a very long way, and as you get closer to Mount Doom, it does get harder and harder to resist. So that's something Bilbo didn't have to deal with. He is always pretty far away from Mount Doom when it comes to holding onto the ring. So Bilbo held it for a long time, but he never had to hold it so close to the real fires of Mordor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump on to the next one. Oh, Bombadil haters again. All right, Bombadil's getting a lot of love right now. So, yeah, here you go. You got Peter Jackson was right to scrap Tom from the movies. He doesn't even make sense canonically. Why did Tolkien insert such a pointless character into his amazing franchise? Tom's chapters are unreadable. And then Tom Bombadil fans just singing a song. Old Tom Bombadil is a merry fellow. Bright blue his jacket, and his boots are yellow. I mean,
that sums forget.
It up. So one thing I'll say, I agree. I'm sort of in the middle between these two fan bases. But one thing I'll say is people forget when Gandalf was first introduced. He also had some colorful clothing as well in The Hobbit, and so that's just something that Tolkien had at the time. And then I think upon revisiting it, he tried to make it a bit more serious, and so a lot of the characters lost some of those really flamboyant outfits. Tom Bombadil doesn't lose it because without it, his character would be weird without it. It's less weird that he is wearing this stuff, to be honest, because he is a weird character that, I mean, honestly, we can't get into it on this little video here, but his character needs an entire dissection because his character, as we see here, some people are saying it doesn't even make sense canonically. There's a lot of stuff to get into with that, but some people just think he's a fun character and is required for any true telling of Lord of the Rings. Where do you fit in these two camps? Are you
I don't know. I am okay with it not being in the movies, but I'm okay with it being in the books. Put it that way.
I'll say that the parts of the books that he's in, there are parts that he's in that I don't like, but it's not because of him. It's just I just don't like the story, how it does kind of grind a little bit to a halt until Tom Bombadil can just like get the hobbits back up and running. Like he does. He comes in and he is like a big part of how they continue, and that to me I didn't really like, especially considering what's at stake and what Tom Bombadil is not an idiot, I don't think. So he should know what's at stake, and offer a bit more help if he is. Anyway, there are some parts where it's just sort of strange how everyone interacts with each other. But yeah, I don't think he's unreadable. But I'm fine with him not being in the movie. I do think it would detract from some of those scenes where they are walking with Aragorn. Like, I think basically you're inserting Tom Bombadil in that portion of the movie. And I think that's a really good those are really good scenes to build the hobbits up and Aragorn up into what they're going to become, and just the hobbits eventually trusting Aragorn and all that. Like you lose a lot of that if you throw Tom Bombadil right there. And I don't know, like, how you just quickly cut to Tom Bombadil and then cut away from him, like, without having a huge section of movie dedicated to that. Because
yeah.
All right, going. What are we at? We're at 3. All right, we'll get to 5. So we'll go to the next one. Oh wait, this is one of these weird ones.
I don't get it.
Yeah, so we know what they're saying, right? Their favorite character is Legolas.
Oh,
I've had to look these up before. This is a weird symbol that is part of some old.
It's a rune.
Well, it's an old online comic strip.
Oh.
That is symbolized like this, and it's like lost.jpg or something like that. And so their favorite character is Lego, and then the lost.jpg is the
Okay.
So this is really complicated. I don't really get the lost.jpg part. Maybe if you do, leave it in the comments down below where that comes from. I've had to look this up before to figure out what the heck. I knew what they were talking about, Legolas, but where does the lost come from? All right, down to the next one. All right. So this one's titled "It Doesn't Matter." Money doesn't matter, rich people. Looks don't matter, attractive people. And then we got Gandalf saying, "And no, the journey doesn't end here. Death is just another path, one that we all must take. The gray rain curtain of this world rolls back, and all turns to silver glass. And then you see it. Immortal people will get reincarnated in Valinor."
Okay.
So yeah, so it's just sort of showcasing the fact that people who have the thing that they're talking about, to then say it doesn't matter, they can't know if it matters or not. They have it. They don't know what it's like to be without it. Similar to this about the reincarnation. I mean, we all know, spoilers again, Gandalf gets reincarnated. He dies and comes back and is better than ever. So he gets reincarnated, and yet he's telling others that, it's fine if you just die. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, that's it for Lord of the Rings memes, and hope you enjoyed them. If you got any other Lord of the Rings memes you want us to take a look at, leave them in the comments down below, and we're going to be excited to take a look at those guys.
Yep.
All right. Perfect.
I've seen this next meme.